Hello, everyone, and welcome back to OWSS. It is round 7 of 8 here at the TT Circuit Assen. I am your commentator, Nathan Cal, alongside Lorenzo Eterovic-Funcic, and of course, as always, our broadcast director is Remco Dezu. So, Lorenzo, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling fairly good. Unfortunately, as we've seen during the practice sessions, the attendance today is not particularly great, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a possibility of a good race. And I think, especially with the fact that there's still a championship on the line, unfortunately, James Knox, as I've seen, is not attending today. But both Alessandro Maggio and Ben Skinner are attending today, which means they can both close the gap and possibly overtake him in the championship standings with one round to go, if things go their way.
Yeah, of course, it is unfortunate that we have a pretty low attendance, but that's bound to happen, especially near the end of a season and when there's a lot less to fight for. But we still have some very good drivers here. Of course, as you said, Ben Skinner, Maggio. Hopefully, they'll be fighting for top positions. If you have a few others, Tina Curtis is still here. We have Zanini still running around, Trizzoli. So we're hoping for a good qualifying session for all these drivers here. Coming across the line here is Shawinski is about to start his first qualifying lap.
Philip Chavinsky has been, from what I've been able to see in the past couple of rounds, one of the more pleasant surprises he's been getting in results. And that's not to say he's not a good driver, of course, but in my slightly subjective opinion, there's drivers on the grid that have shown a bit more than Filip Chavinsky, and it was nice to see him do a bit better in a couple of the races.
Yeah, obviously Shawinski last week had a very good race. He was running in the podium in race 2 in Germany, but sadly, last corner spin essentially knocked him down to P5. But he's had up and down races, but hopefully we can see him up near the top, especially with the amount of drivers we have today. Obviously,
Uh,
purple sector one.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was about to just point that out. My apologies for cutting you off there, but yeah, it seems Filip Chavinsky is the first man on track currently, setting lap times out there. Of course, judging by the graphic on the left, he's not the only one on track, but he's the first one to be setting the lap times, as it seems Ben Skinner has already beaten him to purple sector 1, and he's approaching sector 3 now, so we might see him do another purple sector 2, and yes we do, 31.7 sector 2 and 35.8 I think that says sector 1, and I think it'll be interesting to see who gets pole position here. I think, realistically speaking, what we've seen from over the course of the season, it will be between Skinner and Maggio. Of course, if a driver, say, like James Knox or Brady Lawless were to attend today, I think those two would have possibly a bigger chance of a pole position, but as we see now, Ben Skinner 136.226 and Alessandro Maggio only 1/10 behind him.
Yeah, Maggio had a decent lap. He was actually faster in the second sector, but Ben Skinner was just much better in sector 1s and 3. And that's allowed him to take pole position provisionally, at least, with the 6 minutes left in the session. We have Sherwinski and Trizzoli still a second and a half behind. We have Gutierrez here crossing the line here in P5, 2.3. So still, that's just a banker lap for now. So he's still trying to get to grips with the track. And we still have 6 minutes to go to hopefully see a bunch of drivers improve their time.
Yes, and I would personally like to go on board with Lana Rahim and see how he's faring, because not only is this Lana Rahim's home race, he is currently on his outlap, but from what I've been able to see, he did not attend the official practice session, so he's jumped in straight into qualifying, and I do wonder how he'll do. I know there's been some controversy surrounding him as he stopped on track. Feels
This
like
might be adding
he's
to the list.
feels like he's listening to us on stream. If you are, hello Lano, please carry on. But
Go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
there's been a couple of accidents he's been involved in. Very unfortunate. Some of them out of sight of his abilities to be prevented. Some of them he caused himself. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how he does in his home race. As we see, Alessandro Maggi improves lap time, but not his position. He is now 0.08 away from Ben Skinner's pole lap, who also seems to have improved to a 36.001. And I mean, I would hope that there's no people with OCD watching this, because I know that that's bugging me to see a 001 personally.
It is, yeah, it is a little unfortunate. But Gutierrez there also improves his lap time to a 1:37.945, still holding on to P6 for now, of Haruki Jr. here in the Dive Bomb Motorsports car. Coming across the line soon enough. Doesn't seem to be a lap time that will really impede, I guess, on anyone at the front.
And we see his teammate Shimon Kanda has also joined qualifying after not attending practice, but it will be interesting to see what lap time he manages to set. I'm unsure how much practice he's managed to put in, and he only has just under 4 minutes to set a valid lap time. And speaking of valid lap times, there were some talks early on as we see him go wide, bringing me very well into my point that today's track limits will be a bit more on the lenient side. There have been some complaints from drivers about how strict corner cuts were, corner and track extension detections. Oh, as we see,
Oh my!
Shimon Kanda, fortunately enough, he's only on his outlap, but that power slide will be eating his tires a bit, and that might affect his valid lap time. But yeah, going back to my,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good warming up technique, you could say. But going back to my point, today's track limits will be a bit more on the lenient side. We have had some complaints from drivers who, while practicing on their own, would say that the track limits were a bit too strict. You couldn't really use much of the AstroTurf, so well, not that much.
I mean, he's using a bunch of AstroTurf there.
Yeah, I don't think that much AstroTurf is okay.
That's not AstroTurf. That's actual. That's actual grass now.
that's just turf. That's just turf at that point. But yeah, a bit more lenient on track limits today. I think we should move away from Shimon Kanda.
You say lenient on. You say lenient track limits, and you just see Simon Kenner running across the grass.
Yeah, not a pretty sight to see, but we have pretty sights to see. Fortunately enough, Philip Chavinsky has improved by 0.3 in Sector 1, and I'm curious to see by how much he improves in Sector 2, only by 1/100th of a second. And as of now, it doesn't look like he'll be contesting either Maggio or Skinner for pole position. However, I think a P3 is still a good result for Philip Chavinsky, especially looking at the leaderboard currently. Only the top 3 are within a second of each other, which isn't the nicest thing to see. You would like to see a bit more contest on the grid, but it is what it is, really. And as we see, Philip Chavinsky improves his lap time and not his position. However, he does come within 4/10, almost 5/10 of Alessandro Maggio, so that's a 4/10 improvement in lap time. Davide Zanini improved by 8/10 in Sector 1, however, he was 1.5 seconds slower, almost 1.6 seconds in Sector 2. And unfortunately, I don't think he'll be able to improve his lap time. No, half a second slower in Sector 3 as well. Currently stays P5. We've entered the final minute of qualifying as we see Davide Zanini pushing on his final lap. Tina Curtis 7/10 quicker in Sector 1 and 8/10 quicker in Sector 2. I think Tina Curtis might just edge out Philip Chavinsky for third place, Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, Tina Curtis here is looking very good. She's up a second and a half already. And I mean, this lap time doesn't seem to be too bad for her. Across the line now with a 137.844 puts her up to P6, beating out our debutant today, Kenneth Roting, there in P7. Of course, 10 seconds left in qualifying. Tina Curtis will start her final lap of the day here. And looking on the timing boards really quickly, Torzoli is on an improvement here. Green Sector 1 and Green Sector 2. 7/10, that's 7/10 up, going into the last chicane. Across the line, he should be able to improve his time maybe to a top 3 position, unless he's too slow. It's not enough at all actually. 137.1 puts him P4.
Yeah, unfortunately for Tozzoli there, but one thing I've noticed, I'm not sure how correct I would be, but most of the time the drivers have been gaining in Sector 1 and Sector 2 is lost in Sector 3. We've seen Tina Curtis on her last lap. She was 7 tenths up, 8 tenths up in Sector 1 and 2, and then only 2 tenths up in Sector 3. So a lot of time being lost in Sector 3. Not really. Haven't driven the track really to know where the points where time could be lost are, but as we saw there, Kenneth Roting, unfazed by that, moves up to P5 with a personal best. I think that would be Tina Curtis, 5 tenths up in Sector 1 and 6 in Sector 2. Will she be able to capitalize? We don't see her. Has
She might have disconnected. Ooh. Oh, there we go. Up to P6 there, 1.4 seconds off the top. Maggio here, purple Sector 2. Very, very squirrely across the last chicane. That will not help him at all for his fight and pole. That's a huge crash. That was a very good lap time for Maggio, but sadly, he will not take pole position. It is actually Ben Skinner with a 136.001. He will take pole position here at the circuit Assen. P2, of course, Alessandro Maggio. P3, Philip Sherwinski. P4, Martazzoli. P5, Kenneth Roting. P6, Tina Curtis. P7, David Zanini. P8, Izan Gutierrez. P9, Haruki Jr. P10, Brando Tenorio. And then finally rounding off the grid is P11, Simon Kander, and P12, Lana Rahim.
Yeah, not the best of lap times for Shimon Kander, Lana Rahim. Shimon Kander and Lana Rahim. I mean, understandably, Shimon Kander had less time than Lana Rahim, even though both joined only the qualifying session, but still to see Shimon Kander beating out Lana Rahim. You do have to wonder how hard Lana Rahim really did try on track. And I did mention that he was involved in a couple of incidents so far since being signed to Bravura Racing. Hopefully no major incidents occur today.
Yeah, hopefully not. But
One
of course,
thing I've also noticed, I think this is the first time in a couple of rounds that both Dive Bomb Motorsports cars have attended the race. So that's very nice to see.
yeah, that is nice to see. But of course, I think with Lana Rahim and Simon Kander, I think they're just here happy to get some points for today, especially with the lower attendance figures. But we'll be back here for a short break, and then we'll get a sprint race underway. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to OWSS. We're here getting ready for the sprint race at the TT circuit Assen. As always, I'm Nathan Cow, joined by Lorenzo, Eterovic-Funcic, and our director is Remco Dezu. Everyone's just getting ready here for the sprint race. But how are you feeling for the upcoming race so far, Lorenzo?
Fairly excited to be fair. Quite a low attendance, as I said already during qualifying. Very unfortunate, but still 2 rounds to go, and still a championship to be decided. And seeing as one of the main contenders is not here currently, the 2 other ones can use this chance to gain advantage on him. And
Yeah, they
that's something
definitely.
I'm looking forward to seeing whether they capitalize or not.
Yeah, they definitely can hopefully use this as an advantage to get farther in the championship. Maybe even overtake James Knox. There's only a 16-point gap for Maggio. Ben Skinner has a bit more of a gap, but it's definitely manageable.
It's doable. It's a 16-point gap between James Knox and Alessandro Maggio in P1 and P2 respectively in the championship, with Ben Skinner in P3 30 points away from James Knox.
Yeah, just
No, apologies, 46 points between James Knox and Ben Skinner. The gap between Alessandro Maggio and Ben Skinner is 30 points.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ben Skinner has a lot of work to do in the championship. But let's go over the starting order here. On pole is Ben Skinner, P2, Alessandro Maggio, P3, Philip Cherwinski, P4, Mauro Tozzoli, P5, Kenneth Roting, P6, Tina Curtis, P7, David Zanini, P8, Izan Gutierrez, P9, Haruki Jr., P10, Breno Tenorio, P11, Simon Kander, P12, Lana Rahim, and finally P13, Nova McKenna. As you see here, the cars.
See Nova McKenna in qualifying, so
yeah, he joined in for the race.
They must have joined in very, very late.
Yeah, it's a bit of a last to first challenge, you know.
Who knows?
We can see here the cars.
That McKenna Racing does have both cars on the grid, so that's also some very good points on board as well.
Yeah, of course. We can see here the cars lining up here for their grid positions, just coming across the last corner and onto the main straight. There's one straggler there at the back, so we're waiting for. I think it's Lanner, most likely.
It might just be. I think it is Lana Rahim. It is Lana Rahim.
Yeah, it is. Our last car, he's over the grid spot. Of course, lights. And lights out and go here for this race. A bit of a pile up there, backup. Some cars didn't get a good start, but of course, Ben Skinner off in the lead. Maggio trying to get down the inside. It's 3 wide into turn 1. Skinner on the inside. Skinner has kept the lead for now, but now Maggio and Cherwinski side by side for P2, just behind Ben Skinner. Maggio wins that battle, of course, just behind David Zanini on the inside of Kenneth Roting. Going to the next hairpin. Kenneth Roting still has to stay behind David Zanini for now, but he's getting attacked there by Tina Curtis, and Tina Curtis is now side by side for P5. Onto the next straight, still side by side here. Tina Curtis on the outside for the next chicane. Might have to concede to Kenneth Roting. Kenneth Roting to the inside. Keeps the position for now, and Tina Curtis just has to wait behind for her next move, or maybe get attacked here by Izan Gutierrez. Stays behind her for now. So everyone's just keeping position for now.
Yeah, and we've seen some good battles immediately right off the start. Philip Cherwinski and Alessandro Maggio there for P2. There was almost 3 wide.